I got into this through resentments and curiosity. I grew up sort of like what Carlos was talking about. When I was little, I talked nothing but Spanish. And when I went to school, they would put tape on my mouth for talking Spanish. And I remember my grandfather's brother, my Tío Pedro, I liked to hang out with him because he used to grow corn and everything on his land. And he would just talk to me and everything. And he taught me some words that weren't Spanish and weren't English. And I was very proud of it. And I was talking to my friends at school, and I got smacked in the mouth with the ruler for cussing words that she claimed that they were. So I grew up very confused. My grandmother was a cunderera, or what you would call a healer, and there were always there was a line of people that would be at my grandmother's house all the time, and I couldn't understand that. I was always told to stay away from my uncle, and stuff, and they would tell me my grandmother was crazy, leave her alone and stuff, but those were the people I was drawn to. And I got very confused when I was 7 years old, and my uncle died, and we're at the funeral, and they were doing the last, the preacher was doing the last rites and everything, and when he finished, all these natives came and circled his thing, and they pushed all the people back. And I was curious why they did that, and my mom grabbed my arm and says, no. He goes, those are for the Indians. And I couldn't comprehend because I'm saying, that's my uncle. What do you mean? And I remember pulling, and I guess out of embarrassment or whatever, she let me go. And I went over there, and they put me in the circle. And then after that, so that stayed with me for a very long time in my life and everything. And then when I got in my 20s, and again, out of curiosity and out of resentment, I started studying who I was. I started looking back on all those things. Half of my family is Tico, and the other half is not. I have, it's kind of funny because I talk about, I have family that lived in Isleta, and I had farmland and everything, and then right across in Zaragoza, the other part of my family. So it depends on what side you were born, if you were Mexican or Mexican American. So all that, there was a very lot of confusion there. And when I started looking into this path, I started going up north, and I started there. And then one day, a friend of mine asked me if I could take this elder down into Laredo, Texas. This elder from Taos, New Mexico, and she came down. Her name was Grandma Enriqueta Vasquez, and she's written a few books. One's called Viva la Raza. The other one's called Mujeres de la Raza. And she used to teach some Chicano studies. She's always been in the marches of the 60s and everything, and always still active today and everything. And I started talking to her and everything. And then it kind of clicked on me. I went up to Spokane, Washington, and I was up there with some natives and stuff. And one of the old men came up to me, and he said, tonight we're going to have a lodge. I want you to run the lodge. And I told him I wasn't ready for that. And he goes, you don't understand. He goes, you represent the elders of the South. And that was like one of the first times it really clicked on me that there was something. And I called the man that was helping me, who was teaching me at the time, that they wanted me to do this. And he says, you're ready. And from that, I ended up going to what we call our group, the Carapuli Tateca, which just means the people of the earth. And I went there and I met this gentleman, so he took me there. And I went to one of my first lodges there, and I was sitting there after the lodge, and this beautiful man that I came to respect was sitting next to me, and he pointed at the wall and he says, do you know what that is? And I says, that's the Aztec calendar. And he says, no. He goes, that's Mexica, that's yours. That's your people's gift to the world. And then he says, do you know how to read that? And I said, no. And he goes, are you stupid? And I got angry, and he says, no. He goes, that's how they separate you from who you are. So I got more into it and everything. I used to drive 18-wheelers for 18 years. And during that time when I got curious, I took a year off. I took a year off from working and everything, and I traveled. I went up north, I went to different reservations, I went up into Canada, and I went down into Mexico and everything, and I started just finding out all these differences. I just wanted to learn. I just kept on. A real good friend of mine would ask me, he goes, how do you do this? Why did you do this? How did you get this position? How do you do this and everything? I just said, you show up. You make a commitment and you show up. You know, and a lot of that is what you know, Carlos talked about, Lucia talked about, is just being connected to the earth. The beautiful thing about this that I didn't know before and everything is that I no longer have those resentments that I used to have. I walk a free way of living. I'm very happy most of the time. I don't get into a lot of drama with life and everything, and I have an identity today. I know who I am. I don't have to justify it or anything. A lot of times, one of my elders used to always tell me in a very good way, and I understand it today. He used to say, "Your actions speak so loud, I can't hear a word you're saying." And that was his way of telling me how to walk on the right road, or what we call the spiritual path. So just short and sweet like that. Thank you.